Would you ever consider stopping eating animal products and consider going vegan?
Um, I wouldn't consider it a personal decision. I mean, I do consume a lot of meat, and that's my choice, quote unquote. But that's what's available to me. I am dressed head to toe with things manufactured by probably some 4-year-old girls in Malaysia, and in order not to do that, I would have to remove myself from a capitalist society, which is not a possibility right now. But I would definitely push for laws for. Well, at this point, my priority would be just standards of ethics when raising animals, like let them see the light of day and just let them die of natural cause, whatever that is. I don't consider those to be like personal decisions. I consider those to be more like more society decisions, and where are we driving society. But if you had asked the question that way, yes, I would definitely push for society as a whole to stop killing animals.
What is your life's purpose?
Well, in general, maximize happiness of me and my surroundings, including like lot beings and I don't know, society in general.
And what do you need from society or for your world around you in order to achieve this goal?
Well, that kind of like gets into like deep territory. I don't know if I should start enumerating, but I would say
You can give a few examples. Sure.
I would say, well, in personal goals, I would say lose a little bit of weight. In like society's terms, I would say social justice, less discrimination, I don't know, equal access to basic human rights. I don't know if I'm going to accomplish all of that, but
Well, and some of these things society allows to you, right? So society allows you basic human rights, right? That allows you to like, at least on some extent, right? That allows you to pursue your goals and pursue your own happiness, right?
well, not necessarily. I don't know if I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to have basic human rights. I don't get to marry in my home country. I get to marry here, people I love. I do get discriminated as a brown gay male. I don't know if I'm fully allowed to enjoy basic human rights. I know I come from a position of privilege. I have access to more things, and I'm entitled to more rights than other people from different backgrounds and from around the world, and that, I don't know.
Yeah, so those societal pressures affect your ability to live in accordance with your own purpose, right?
Yes, mine, and observing the limitations imposed by society and others, that also like affects my overall happiness.
Well said. What do you think a pig's purpose in life is?
Well, in simple terms, to also maximize his or her or its own happiness and the happiness of their surroundings.
And do you think that pigs that are raised for meat are in a society that allows them to pursue those goals?
Well, 100 years ago, I would have said yes. Pigs that are raised, allowed to freely walk around and move around, and are eventually, at the end of their life, killed to serve as meat for humans. Maybe yes. Pigs that are raised with 100 other pigs in 2 square feet vertically without ever seeing the light of the day, without being able to reproduce or whatever, definitely no.
Yeah. Well, I like what you have to say there. So there's a difference in your mind between like the factory farmed, like highly confined animals versus ones that maybe get to live outside, and ones that right. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between an animal that is able to enjoy a happy life and a living being that's raised as a product for human consumption. Even though the end goal is the same, we're at the end of it eating the pig, but the condition on which it's raised like gives them, I don't know, different conditions in terms of like dignity.
Yes, absolutely. So let's look at this from maybe a human's perspective, right? So if you, the day you were born, somebody already knew, somebody had assigned you a purpose in life, regardless of that is, but in order for you to fulfill that purpose in life, you had to be killed on a certain date. Right. Like, so, yeah. So let's say the day you were born, somebody knows that they're going to kill you when you're 21. But you're able to live a fully happy, free, enjoyable life until you're 21. Would you consider yourself to be in a position where you are free to live the life that you want to live?
If we change 21 to 45, yeah, maybe. I don't want to live till I'm too old, but
Yeah.
yeah, if I have a predetermined date of killing, yeah, maybe not to the fullest of extents, but if until then I'm able to enjoy life with like all my basic rights, I wouldn't complain that much. I mean, it's kind of like a trade-off. I have a date of expiration versus having all of my rights versus living in this society where I'm essentially a product of capitalism by age 16. I can continue to live, but I have to live within the parameters of a society that's driven by things that I don't personally share. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Would it change anything if the people or beings that were killing you when you were 21 or 45 were profiting off of your death?
Yes, definitely.
How so?
I would be a product for somebody else's utilities.
Yeah. Now, do you eat animals? Do you eat animal products?
Definitely, I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you buy those animal products, right, in our capitalist system, you're creating a demand for a product that has people put those expiration dates on animals' lives, right? And they don't get to live until 21, respectively, right? Do you know the average age of a pig when they're killed?
I don't.
Yeah, they're killed at about 10 or 11 months of age. They're basically children still at that point. And chickens are killed at an even younger age. And dairy cows, they get to live the longest, but they're still killed at about age 4 or 5. And their average lifespan is between 20 and 25.
Your question being?
I guess my question is, would you ever consider stopping eating animal products and consider going vegan?
I wouldn't consider it a personal decision. I mean, I do consume a lot of meat, and that's my choice, quote unquote, but that's what's available to me. I am dressed head to toe with things manufactured by probably some 4-year-old girls in Malaysia, and in order not to do that, I would have to remove myself from a capitalist society, which is not a possibility right now. But I would definitely push for laws for well, at this point, my priority would be just standards of ethics when raising animals, like let them see the light of day and just let them die of natural cause, whatever that is. I don't consider those to be like personal decisions. I consider those to be more like more society decisions and where are we driving society. But if you had asked the question that way, yes, I would definitely push for society as a whole to stop killing animals.
How do we do that? How do we get society as a whole to stop killing animals and stop eating animals?
With a nice benevolent dictator that forbids you from eating animals.
So you think the law should come first before people change their habits?
Yeah, personal choices are, they do affect the market, but I think those are all inherent problems of the free market system.
So are there other foods available that you can eat and be just as healthy, if not healthier, besides animal products?
Yes, definitely. At different costs. And with different availability, and as of now implying drastic changes on my lifestyle as a whole. But yes, I could definitely do that if I wanted to do that. I could also not dress with products that are manufactured in close to slavery conditions.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get into the clothing thing for just a second, because I mean that's a horrible situation, right? New clothing being produced by basically children in the third world for very low wages. In sweatshops. Terrible situation. I don't want to make light of that because it is a really bad situation, but the focus of my interview is, of course, about animals, right? And I just want to ask you a basic question that kind of encompasses, like, just because we can't do everything, just because you can't fix everything, does that mean that we shouldn't try to do anything? Like, if I said to you, like, you could make this choice and go vegan, right, and help out all these 150 billion animals a year that are being slaughtered for food, and a person responds and says, well, but the clothes that you're wearing were made in a sweatshop. Is that actually a defense of still continuing to eat animal products?
No, I'm just enumerating facts to
I see.
emphasize the effect that capitalism has in all of our lives, whether we choose to do that or not. And yes, you do have choices that are humanitarian or giving animals some dignity, but society as a whole restrains you from choosing those options.
How does it restrict you from choosing, like, to buy beans instead of beef, or to buy tofu instead of chicken, or to buy a Beyond Burger, like a meat substitute, versus buying ground beef? Like, how is society pressuring you? Like, do you shop at a grocery store where these options are available?
I shop at grocery stores where these options are available, well, it's really simple how society exercises that pressure on me. By raising millions of cows, you do need to raise millions of acres of soybean to feed those cows, reducing the available land to raise grains that would feed me, and essential market theory says lesser beans produced for human consumption, higher prices. So it doesn't necessarily bans me from taking those options, but it makes it expensive. And that's one of the many ways in which society as a whole incentivizes you to consume products that come from animal cruelty or from human cruelty. It doesn't force you, but in the end it does. You can embrace capitalism and live it without any sort of questioning, but if society doesn't give me an incentive, a monetary incentive to consume products that don't come from cruelty, I am essentially restrained by my salary to make choices that...
Have you ever actually looked into the cost of eating vegan?
I have.
Like some of the vegan... Well, some of the vegan foods that exist are things that I think people often don't think about, like potatoes, beans, rice, oats. But oats and rice, and like these are some of the cheapest foods on the planet, right? Like pound per dollar, like calorie per dollar, like these are some of the cheapest foods on the planet, right?
Well,
like they're even cheaper than chicken and beef and even like cheap cuts of meat. Like buying a 20-pound bag of rice at the store is cheaper, right?
Well, if you want to consider all of your nutritional needs, well, that's debatable. I don't have the whole information, but it's definitely cheaper than buying eggs for me.
Yeah. Well, and I'm totally putting you on the spot right now. Like, I don't expect you to know facts and figures and numbers, but all I would encourage you to do is maybe next time you're at the store, look at those options and say, well, hey, maybe I could eat beans and rice 3 or 4 times a week, and that's a meal that costs less than 30 cents.
Actually,
yeah. Well, great. So you're already kind of on the way there. There are just as many expensive ways to eat vegan, of course, as there are cheap ways to eat vegan. And since you live with a vegan, you have a source of somebody to ask questions for on that. Well, anyway, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because you've already been talking for several minutes here, but I would just maybe next time you're considering your meal, maybe think about your purpose in life, to live free and happy, and consider what you're buying as how that affects another living sentient being. Would you maybe consider doing that?
I mean, yes, but to a limited extent.
To a limited extent, yeah.
I don't look at foods that are not certified free range and stuff like that. I even though I could buy a dozen of eggs for $1, I mostly won't.
So in that case, buying the more expensive product is better, but in the case of a vegan option, buying a more expensive product is not better?
No, I say I'm limited, so the number of more expensive choices I can make is limited.
Oh, I see. So, but did you imply that you would buy the free-range eggs even though they're more expensive?
Yes, if as a source of protein.
What if you bought beans instead? I
do buy beans.
Okay, all right, great. Well, we're kind of going around in circles here, but but anyway, yeah. I hope this is informative to you. I enjoyed our conversation. Do you have any kind of parting thoughts, or would you maybe like to share with us what you think, if you haven't already, what your number one roadblock is from choosing a vegan lifestyle?
Personal laziness and the lack of information.
We have some information. Would you be willing to maybe take one of our booklets and read over?
The laziness
Great.
part kicks in.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm. If I have to prioritize fights to fight, in terms of like changing what's wrong in the world, I would prefer like women rights and human rights before animal rights. That's a choice. And again, it's a false dichotomy, but limited time, limited resources. I do have to 9 to 5 all day to buy my veggies and meat.
Well, I think if you do some of your own research on veganism and on the animal products industry, you'll find that human rights and animal rights are very much entwined, like the way that the factory farm workers are treated and the way that their living conditions are. So, there's issues of slavery and all kinds of problems in the animal products industry. So, if they can treat animals the way they do, by extension, they don't treat their workers very well either. So I think you might actually find that there's a lot of similarities between the issues that you just brought up. So anyway, thank you so much. And
You're very welcome.
yeah.